This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and welcome to the Sunrise Safari, where it's hours before sunrise. And would you look at that? That is a very, very happy sight indeed, and it's made my morning that much easier because there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, unless there is some very large family of leopards, that there is a pride of lions walking along the road. Tristan.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Tristan, an easy morning for us this morning. Looks like an entire pride of lions mobile along Boyatela access. They've just passed Gallagher Shortcut Junction now. They are moving.
Copy that. Well done. I'm on the western side of quarantine, so I'll be there shortly.
Okay, copy, perfect. Looks like 3 up ahead leading the group. Looks like they're playing as well, running around next to each other.
Copy, do you think taking the link to Zoe's to get ahead of them, or do you want me to come straight on the western arm of quarantine?
Trist comes straight along the edge of quarantine and then Boya's access. They're moving quite fast. They're running now, playing.
Okay, copy that.
How cool is that, Seb? They're playing. Just to let you know, my map's not up, so just keep coming along Boya's access. I'm going to try and get you in my sights.
All right, copy that. I'm just going past the link that goes to Zoe's.
Okay, copy. Seb, Tristan's going to come from behind the lions. That's perfect. He's coming along that direction.
Yeah, I've got visual of the drone, Jamie.
Okay, copy. I don't have your visual yet, but just keep coming along Boyatela access. I can't see if they're on... It's not power lines. It's Boya's, isn't it?
Copy. Just confirm if they've gone further north of the junction.
Firm. Looks like they're going to get quite close to Aubrey's Road Junction shortly. I'm just struggling without a map, but I'm pretty sure that's where they are.
Okay, copy. I'm at the junction now. I'll head north.
Okay, copy. Can count at least 5, probably more.
Okay, copy. I've got them in the distance here. Thank you.
Awesome, very nice. Enjoy. They're playing. They're having the best time.
Copy.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you to Seb.
Well done, Seb.
Well, isn't this exciting? So we've managed to at least catch up with our lions, which is very, very exciting. So there's everybody playing around, so we're just going to turn off our headlights so that the infrared can work, and you'll find that this is what looks like most of the Nkuhuma Pride. There's at least 6 of them that we can see at the moment, which possibly a few more in the distance, so we'll try and kind of keep up with them as they go. They look as though they are very, very, very playful this morning, which is really good news. They're also vocal. Listen.
Faintly calling.
So it's a very faint call. It sounds like potentially there's some of the individuals are quite far ahead of this grouping, because that call that we're hearing, while you can hear it probably quite clearly on your side, it's actually a lot further away than what these lions are that we have with us. And so I wonder if there isn't some that are already further up, that have already walked, and now they're just kind of called to come together. But so nice to see the Nkuhuma Pride first thing in the morning, but you can see that they're on a serious mission this morning. Elizabeth, they don't look too hungry. I know they were seen yesterday with quite full bellies, and judging by looking at them now, it looks as though their tummies have got a bit of roundness and a bit of shape to them. So, I mean, I don't think that they are by any means starving, but I also don't think that they are, sort of overly fed either. But there's definitely other lions calling further up. So I think that they potentially, if they did come across some sort of a meal, so something, let's say, like a buffalo, they would definitely hunt it, but they're not in a position where they are desperate for food. I think they've got a little bit of food in them already, but you can see they're all trotting down the road. And often we talk about how quickly the Nkuhumas can cross and move around through Djuma, and everyone always thinks that they just kind of amble, but you can see how they've moved as quickly as they have already. I mean, we've been with them and they've already probably covered a good 300-400 meters just in the few minutes that we've been here. They are on a serious march at this stage. Now, unfortunately, where we are on the sort of road here, it's very difficult to get around them, and so we're going to be behind them for a little bit, but then it's going to, hopefully, if they go straight on this road, it's going to open up really nicely and we'll be able to get ahead of them and be able to get a proper head count as to how many we've got, and also to see who is present, because obviously the Nkuhuma Pride at the moment, we know there's certain individuals that have been up and down all over the place, and so it'd be nice to know who is here. Right, now we're going to carry on following them. We're going to try and see where they head and what they get up to. In the meantime, though, back to Jamie with the drone.
This is so cool watching them trot along the road. They are clearly in high spirits this morning. And we heard them roaring, and we knew that they were somewhere close to camp. But it's just epic when a plan comes together in this way. And the leader of the pride, who keeps it sort of the group moving, keeps switching around. Look at it go! Look at this! They are having the best time, playing with each other. It's so nice to see the Nkuhumas play like this. I've been through some rough times recently, and it was nice to see them yesterday looking full. Oh dear. Well, that was bound to happen at some point. We're getting quite far away now from where we are, and there's a set of power lines that runs between us and the lions, so that was probably what's affecting our signal as well. So we're sort of back up and running now, it looks like. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. I can see Tristy driving along after them. And there's some animals off in the block to the right of him. Right, well, since it has been such an easy morning for us all, Trishala hasn't even had a chance to say good morning, and I know that she's absolutely dying to.
Yes, I would like to say good morning. Hello, everybody. Let me just stop so I can greet you properly. There we go. How are we all this morning, and welcome aboard. It is very chilly here in Djuma in South Africa. Like you know, I'm here by Jamie as well, so we've got the aerial support of the drone, and I am Trishala, and I have David on camera with me. Yes, dream team off today. We're going to look for some nocturnal predators, nocturnal creatures in general, I think, and with the help of the drone, hopefully that'll be a lot easier. Remember to use the hashtag SafariLive so you can ask us lots of questions, and of course you can give us whatever comments you like. Whether we use them or not, well, we'll see. But we are out here in the darkness. Now that I don't have my spotlight, you can actually see above here just how dark it is. Nights have become much darker these days, and for a lot longer. So it seems a bit quiet, but that's why handy spotlight is so useful. Ta-da! And we're looking around for things. Now, last time I was looking around for some chameleons, so I'm hoping that I find some more today, because I do like them. It's just after you see them once, you just want to, keep on looking for them. I think we should have a competition, Darby.
Sounds good.
I think so. Darby agrees. We should have a competition. How many chameleons can we spot? I think that's a good idea. So looking around for glowing eyes or anything like that that'll indicate that there's an animal around, and we'll hopefully catch up with them. Well, Tristan seems to be having an exciting morning. Early action. Yes, very early action. So let's go over to him and see exactly what's going on with those lions.
Indeed, very early action. It was quite nice, actually, to get going and have the Nkuhumas on our doorstep. Very, very exciting. And they were very vocal just now. Just as we kind of left us, they started up, and a couple of the females were roaring. The sub-adults were quiet. They didn't make too much noise, but the females definitely had a lot to say. And so it's going to be interesting to see if there's a reason why they're so vocal, because generally the Nkuhumas, when they move around on Djuma, normally are quite quiet. They don't really roar too much, unless, of course, there's members that are calling and they're trying to all come together, or maybe there's been other lions around that we don't know about. But the nice thing is that they're heading, well, to catch-22, is they very, very steadily mobile, kind of northwest at the moment, but they are going to head towards Sandy Patch, which means it's going to be a lot more open, and hopefully we're going to be able to get a really nice sighting of them and not just their backsides, because as you can see, they kind of just, wait, there we go, listen. How awesome is that? There is no better sound in the African bush than lions that are roaring in the dark, and the fact that she kind of just turned to look at us was so, so cool. Right, let's try and catch up with them. They are heading, like I say, to Sandy Patch, so we're going to be able to get around them a little bit, and so we'll be able to get them kind of in front of us, and we'll be able to see, like I say, who is here and exactly who is kind of, or what the composition is, and if we have 11 or 10 or whatever the case may be. But there's definitely some roaring far, far, far from where we are. Sounds like already somewhere, maybe even Simbambili side. So that's maybe why these guys are walking so fast, is to try and catch those other ones, and to kind of join up. Right, we're going to get sort of around them shortly, and in the meantime though, let's send you back up to the Mara with Patrick, who has, well, the enemy, the arch enemy for lions.
Well done on those lions, guys. I don't have the same animal, but I definitely have something I'm very, very happy to stumble upon this morning. My name is Patrick, and joining me behind the lens today is James. If you have any questions or comments throughout this sunrise drive, please use the hashtag SafariLive to interact with us on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream. So we just were driving along. Wasn't my objective for the morning, but just on the side of the road I found a hyena nursing 2 cubs. They were both having a bit of a suckle and a cuddle up to mum, and now they have gone off into the side of the road. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. Seem to have a little bit of a, I don't know, a little bit of a play around in the long grass, I think. But yeah, it was very cool. I just thought it was the one hyena as I was driving past, and then all of a sudden these 2 little heads poked up. And yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe perhaps they have a den. This is a little bit of a drainage kind of area where they are down in at the moment. So perhaps there is a little den down there. And I guess we're closest to the Olololo clan den site, where we were the other day, where we found those other cubs. Gremlin General, night safaris are cool. I should add, we are also in infrared here in the Masai Mara. And so that is why we are seeing everything in black and white. Or sepia. Grayscale. And it looks like these hyenas are going back to sleep, so I'm going to keep moving on. As I said, this wasn't the objective of the morning, just something nice to come across on the way out. I am looking for my Awinos. So I will, haven't caught up with the Awinos for a few days, so I've come out here to do that, but Tristan already has lions in Juma, and apparently they're on the move.
Well, good luck, Pat. Hopefully you find them. As you can see, we're busy trying to slowly get around all of our lions, but the grass is so long, I can't see where all the stumps are and mitre drains and various other things that come off this area. So I'm trying not to kill Craig and I, and trying to get around the pride, but I think I might have... Oh, no, we didn't make it in time. We needed to go a little faster than what we did. But we'll stop here and we'll just get them all kind of going past us and moving around. So let's count them as they go. It's 1, 2... There's 2 sub-adults that are in front leading the charge. And then we've got the oldest lioness coming through with her hip injury. So you can see she's still got a bit of an injury there, but it's healing up nicely, which is good. Some impalas that are alarm calling at them as well. But there's the injury. It's still, it's still a little bit open, but otherwise looks fairly good at this stage, considering what it was all those months ago. It is amazing that she has managed to come through that injury the way she did. Just if the drone was in their reach, would the lion swat it out of the air? Probably in the way that they're still calling. Let's just see if others start. Here comes the Mangian male, who's looking very, very good. Listen. More coming, that will also call. Can you hear them and the way their paws are slapping each other? You almost hear the weight as they go through the grass. It's amazing. Now, just back to your question, if the drone was low enough in the mood that they're in and the way that they're playing and they're going around and kind of chasing each other, they most certainly would probably, or the youngsters might have a go at it. The thing is they'd probably be a bit nervous of it, just given, here comes another one running up the road. You two are full of beans this morning, aren't you? They would probably be a bit nervous of the noise more than anything else. And so if they overcame the fear of the noise, then maybe they would swat it. Otherwise, I think it would probably be a case where they would be fairly kind of nervous of that sound and probably leave it alone more than anything else. There you go, look at them, they're still having the best time, and it's amazing to see because there's some of the adults are getting involved as well. I mean, it's difficult to make an exact sort of composition of who's here. I actually just stopped counting because they were roaring, and it's just awesome to have lions walking past the car and you kind of forget what you're doing a little bit. But I didn't count, so maybe somebody else counted how many we have. I think there's maybe 7 of them that came past. But I can still hear calling in the distance. You hear it faintly. So great to hear them calling. Unfortunately, though, it's not going to last much longer. We're probably not even 5 minutes from them crossing out of Juma, the way that they're going. What are you two up to? And you can see what they're doing. They're investigating a new little thing on the road here. So this was built recently by Rexon for drainage. And so they probably haven't passed here since it was built. And now they're sniffing around just trying to see what's going on. It's basically a stormwater pipe that protects the road from being damaged, and there's a little kind of concrete slab just to support that pipe, and that's what they're busy smelling and sniffing. Probably has a lot of scent on it, given it's kind of been built by humans, and so very intriguing if you're a young lion and wants to find out what's going on. Now, trying to think what's going to be our best route here. They really are marching quite fast, so I don't think we're going to get, unfortunately, in front of them again just yet. I'm really hoping that they find that pan just off Vuyatela access that's a little bit kind of northwest from where we are now, and they settle there, and that will get them kind of all roaring, sitting down. But I think by the sounds of it that there's one or two of these lions are already at Sydney's Dam, and that's why they are kind of moving as fast as they are. They're trying to head and catch up with the rest of the pride. So let's see how we go, and let's see if we manage to kind of find them again or get ahead of them. In the meantime, though, back up to Pat, who's got something that, well, all animals fear.
I hope that you can catch it back up with those. Been talking a little bit about the controlled burns that have been happening here, and I have alluded towards them being up in the Owino territory. So we are just where we are looking right now is just along the edge of the escarpment, which is where we usually swing out to when we do want to look for the Owinos. And it might be a little bit tricky to see on infrared, but all of the land in front of it as well, so all the places that I usually do look around has just been burnt. I'm sure we can see there's just a few shrubs we can see there that are still alive, and a couple of trees, but apart from that, all of that grass there is a bit black, and yeah, smoke is thick in the air. And so I think everyone's saying oh no, but it's okay. As I said, it is a controlled burn, and it is helping. It is helping out the landscape, replenishing everything, reducing those fuel loads, and I'm certain the Owinos would not have been caught up in this. I just think now that I may have to widen my search a little bit for them. So I will be coming in and a little bit further away from the escarpment to look for them today. I believe they would have pushed over more towards the river side. So that is where I shall be searching this morning. It's a pretty cool thing to see during the black of the night / early morning. It's just uncanny to see a landscape that just a few days ago had such long grass. I suppose if the Owinos do move back in, it's going to make it a lot. And I didn't quite catch the name of the question. I'm sure it'll be fed back through, but the question was, how long will it take for all of this to grow back? Well, I can't really put a number on it, but I couldn't imagine it taking too long. As soon as we get some decent rains, it's been relatively dry up this way lately, and so yeah, it is a bit hard to say, but I think once we get some rains, it'll really bring it along. Once all the new shoots start coming through, we'll see how grass can come through quite quickly, especially in such a fertile place like the Masai Mara. So I can't imagine it taking too long at all. To get back to the level that the grass was at, it might take a little bit longer. I'm hoping it takes a little bit longer. Oh, it's quite thick with smoke up here. So I haven't actually been up this way since they started burning. Well, anyway, I shall continue searching in this Burns landscape for these lions. I believe Trishala is searching for some chameleons down in Juma.
Yes, I am looking for chameleons, but of course I'd find anything also very exciting. I'm looking for all sorts of things. Now, let me just reply to Jamie quickly, because she did ask me to come around her side. Copy, Jamie. I will turn back onto Central and make my way there. Thank you. Maybe she's seen something exciting on the drone, so she's asked me to move a little bit more west. I am in the east at the moment, but pretty much the eastern boundary will come up soon ahead of me. We were just chatting about the darkness and how in the darkness it's a lot more difficult to navigate yourself because something just throws you. I wonder if it's actually a human thing, and that's why we decided darkness is not when we will be around. We will walk in the day. I wonder what she's actually seen. That would be nice to see. Snazzy, you'd like to know if there are any wolves in Juma? There are not any wolves in Juma. We don't get wolves around this area, but we do get wild dogs, and sometimes called a painted wolf. Sometimes when you use the word wild dog, people get the impression that it's a feral dog, which is totally not the case. But they are a canine species, of course. And we get jackals. I saw a jackal not too long ago, maybe about a week ago with Seb. We saw a lovely jackal that night. That morning it was really, really misty. Do you remember that morning? We saw a jackal amongst the mist, but he was off very, very quickly, so we didn't get a chance to spend some time with him. So we do have some canids, which is the group, of course, that the dogs, wolves, wild dog, jackal, all of that fall into. I think it would be quite cool to get some wolves here, but no, not the right area at all. I am the biggest fan of dogs in general, all dogs. Of course, our chameleon hunt is still on. Not getting anywhere yet, but we will. I think I will spot the first chameleon. Kirst says I'm doing a pathetic job at finding chameleons. Is that what I heard, Kirst? I'll get there, don't you worry, I will. I always find that you have to concentrate a lot more when it's darkness and you see little leaves and you think, oh, chameleon, but it's not a chameleon. I check it out, it's not. Anyway, I'll be looking much more and, of course, making my way towards where Jamie wants me to go. So in the meantime, let me send you back over to Tristan.
Well, it's always important to follow Jamie. She will hopefully lead you to some sort of success like she did to us this morning. Anyway, we're still following our pride. They didn't stop at the pans that I hoped that they would stop, and they are steadily mobile north. And like I say, it's not much longer and they're going to cross the boundary. Unfortunately, it's not ideal, but that's just the way it works and the way life goes. They've gone from our southern boundary all the way to our northern boundary through the night, and it's why we often, get mobile early in the mornings and miss them, is that they have this ability to cross this area quite quickly. And you can see now that we kind of caught them this morning as to how much that they do walk around this sort of sunrise time. And I say sunrise time, I mean, obviously it's still very dark, but it's going to be rising in the next sort of half an hour. So just prior to that sun coming up, lions are often quite active. And from all the kind of droning and being out at very early hours of the morning, we notice the Nkumas do this quite a lot, and then they settle down just after that sun comes up. Generally, they start settling, unless, of course, they're on the hunt and they're trailing something like a buffalo herd or something like that. But for the most part, they generally move at this time, and then they start to settle down a little bit. But it's been really nice following them around. They've been very vocal and lots of playing this morning. They've been running around, charging after each other and jumping and playing, and it's been very, very nice. So, child of the universe, lions stop being called subadults when they begin to mate. None of these are mating yet, and so therefore they are still subadults. When they start mating and start producing offspring, then they are considered as an adult individual. Now, you see, they've gone straight. Okay, we're going to take a gamble here. Hold on, everybody. So we're going to try and see if we can get around where they are. They've gone, looks like they've gone straight onto an area where the road has been closed because they've set up a new road. And so it looks like they're going straight towards sort of Sydney's Dam, not to Simambili. So we're going to take a bit of a gamble. They might turn towards Simambili, in which case this is going to be a complete fail. But we're going to trust that they're not, and that we're going to catch them coming out on the cut line. As you can see, this road is yet to be established, so this is a new kind of diversion for this road, but it hasn't really kind of been driven enough yet for it to be too easy to see what's going on. It's also a little on the bumpy side, so you've got to... So, Timothy, how many square miles in a day do lions walk? Timothy, it's dependent. I mean, sometimes they'll walk a lot more than others. You know, sometimes they'll do easily a good few hundreds. Well, not a few hundred, sorry. A good sort of 20 square miles, and then other days they'll do one. It depends a lot on what is going on. Oh. Let's see. It depends a lot on what they're doing. So if they've hunted and they're very full, then generally they don't move very far at all, particularly if water is close by. But if they are... Craigie, I think we might have gotten in front of them too far. Let's just go back a little bit. I suppose I should use a spotlight. It'll help me a lot, won't it? Okay, so they haven't come out here, which means I hope they haven't gone towards Simambili, because otherwise we've got a bit of a problem here. It was, like I say, a bit of a gamble that we took. And there's an impala. Right. Okay, let's see if we can find them quickly. There's impalas here, so they might be hunting those, but we'll double check. So, is that not the impala that we saw? Right, in the meantime, though, let's send you across to Jamie, who has a hotspot.
All right, so while Tristan figures out what the lions are going to do, help us figure out what that is. Send your best guesses on #SafariLive on Twitter. Is it a log? Is it a pile of poo? Or is it something more interesting? Something like a leopard, perhaps? I've got a sneaky suspicion, Seb, that it's a leopard.
Me too.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Seb says him too. So that's good news. The even better news is that in anticipation of this eventuality, I have requested that Trishala starts moving in that direction. Kirsty thinks it's a platypus. I think of all the guesses, Kirsty is probably the furthest from accurate, but you never know. Strange things have happened. I saw a wallaby once out the window in the English countryside. So, you know, the more I look at it, the more it starts looking like nothing. Bob thinks it's an elephant. Bob, I don't think it's an elephant, but I'm not sure it's anything. Oh, Seb, now you're spitting. I mean, now that looks like a leopard on a painting, like a rock painting. Steph says that it could be a sleeping male lion. It could also be, I mean, at least it's not Tristan coming in, because I feel as though twice in a row, if I were to call him into a pile of poo, he might start to feel, no, but Seb, it's so warm. It's very warm. Maybe it's a really warm log. Indigo Girl thinks it looks like T-Rex. Can you imagine Indigo Girl if we did actually see a T-Rex on the drone? It would be the opposite of vectoring someone in. Drive, Trishala, drive! Go!
It's following you at 10 o'clock.
It's at 10 o'clock. Now it's 9 o'clock. Now it's 6 o'clock. It's straight behind you. Now it's 6:10. 6:45.
What worries me is that thing, whatever it is not moving.
No, that thing hasn't moved at all. Ah, Shishala wants to speak to me. Which radio is? This one. Standing by. You've made a treble clef on the map. All right, while Trish and I chat and try and figure out if this is anything, off you go across to Tristan and his lions.
Well, good luck. Hopefully it is something, and Trish and Jamie are managed to find it. But you can see we were a little bit early. The lions have popped out exactly where I hoped they'd pop out, but we were just a bit earlier. It's a bit of a conundrum. But anyway, they don't look like they're hunting this impala anymore. I thought they might be hunting the impala because they were all kind of looking in that direction, but they've started to move and unfortunately are going straight north. And I'm pretty sure that's because they're going for water. I wouldn't be surprised once they've had water, they're going to basically lie down. You can see already the males are starting to get a little bit tired and they don't want to walk too much more, and they're kind of resting. There's still one that should be coming from behind us, and so there's an opportunity hopefully that they'll end up kind of lying down for a little bit. But it looks like towards Sydney's Dam is the order of the day, bar these two. They're going to decide to sit right here. Craig, let's take the opportunity while we can to get ahead and see if we can see their faces rather than, there goes a scrub hare. That's a very bold move, scrub hare, to run in between a pride of lions. But there we go. It's decided that it's going to be a adrenaline junkie and move around. So let's stop here because we can at least get a view of our boys. And one girl, one boy, one girl is what we've got at this stage. Now, I think it's the Mangan male that we have with us here, and it's amazing to see if it is him, how good he looks. Linda, what's happened to the evokers? Oh, the evokers are around. They were seen yesterday, I believe, on Buffelshoek. They're spending most of their time up in Buffelshoek at the moment, and the reason why is that they've got they've got new cubs up there with the Talamati Pride, and that means that they're spending most of their time hanging around up in that area, making sure that they're looking after those. So most of what we're seeing, most of what is being seen of them, is up in that northern section. Now just watch this lioness, because there's one ahead that is almost looks like it's stalking her. So we're going to see if maybe she'll come running out and jump. I often enjoy when lions kind of lie in wait in the grass, and then as their counterparts come, they kind of run and jump on them. It's very cool to see. How awesome is this? Listen. Isn't this cool? Just hear them grunting and groaning. Soft contact calls at this stage. Hoping we were going to get a nice roar, but given that we're with most of the sub-adults at the back here, it doesn't seem like too much roaring is going to take place. What's interesting is that they went towards Mambili and then they turned and came back, and there's more and more and more of them that are coming from our right, which we didn't even know were there. So I think the whole pride is joined here at this junction, and that's why they kind of took a bit of a detour, and now they're turning again, because there's a lot more lions than we initially had walking around. I mean, just in this particular section now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and we have lots that have already gone north towards. What are you scared of? Oh, another lion. So there comes another one. So, like I say, the whole pride must be here now. Watch, watch, watch. That's the oldest lioness that came through. Maybe that's why there wasn't too much play. Listen. just so awesome. What a way to start our morning. It is the best when we get to hear them roaring like that. And like I say, they've been very, very vocal this morning. Been lots and lots of calling and kind of making noise to say that they're here, which has been very cool. Right, now we're going to catch up with our lions, try and get one last view before they cross into Buffalo's Hook. In the meantime, though, let's go back across to Trishala, who's got a tiny, tiny ball of cute fluffiness.
Look what I've found in my race to get to Jamie. Tiny little thing. There we don't want to get too close. There we go. Oh, look, it's a little baby scrub hare. Oh, it's so tiny. That is so cute. Oh, off you go. Oh, that's the tiniest one I've ever seen. Out for Easter, I reckon. Getting ready for Easter. How cool is that? That is so cute. It was this little bundle just on the road. I didn't even realize it was a scrub hare at first. I thought it might be a thickney. You know, you often get water thickneys. They do walk on the road as well, but sometimes they'll sit and they'll look all pushed together like this. And I thought it was a water thickney, and I know, oh, he was going to fly away. I was like, come on, this one didn't fly away. This little bundle of hoppy cuteness just hopped away. It was the cutest thing ever. How cute was that? I'm sure he's gone off the road now. Yeah. I wonder what he's doing without Mum around. Mum or Dad. Very small. How sweet. Okay, so I'm making my way, like we said before, to where Jamie needed me to be, and she is just changing her batteries on the drone at the moment. So it gives me a little bit more time to get there and preferably not throw Darby off the car. That's my aim until I get there. At the moment, at least. No comedians so far, but I still have faith. I do. Carol, that is so true. That scrub hair was just ears and feet. And eyes. Ears, feet, and ears, feet, and eyes. Definitely. But you saw the size of those eyes. Those eyes are really big considering how small the actual animal is. And that's because from a very young age, that scrub hair has to be able to have a good full sort of almost 360 degrees vision around them. But the issue there is that you don't get binocular vision. So you don't have very good depth perception. But ultimately you could be standing behind them and theoretically they should be able to see you. So you can see how that can be an advantage, especially if you're a small prey species. And you need to be able to basically run away and keep track of the ground and keep track of the orientation of where you are and when to dart and when to turn, and of course to keep an eye on the predators. So it's really, really important. Probably one of the most important adaptations for prey species. Okay, now I am very close to where Jamie needed me to be. So as soon as I get over that Friatella watering hole wall, I will call her in again and tell her that I am ready. Man, that was the most gorgeous little bundle of scrub hair. So sweet. Okay, well, I am almost there, like I said, so I'll be radioing Jamie any second. In the meantime, and while we organize that, let's send you over to Patrick with some lions.
Well, it's actually been quite interesting. I was just out of interest taking a look into... Oh, I've lost the tracks here, just bear with me everyone. Just looking into the burnt landscape. There was a number of white storks, quite a lot of them actually. I could only assume they're foraging on all of the dead insects that would have been left behind, the dead invertebrates. But where are these tracks going? And there was also a lot of hyena as well. About 4 or 5 different hyenas I saw as we were coming. Okay, so these tracks look like they are a dead end, so I'm just going to have to go back around. It's all right, more area to search anyway. Just bear with me here. Yeah, so I think the hyenas as well probably would have figured out, I know not every fire there would be something that would have been caught, but maybe once in every while there is something, a nice prey item that would have been caught up in the blaze and not made it out. And that would be quite an easy meal to come across. You wouldn't have to spend energy hunting, and it would already be a little bit cooked for you. That's a bit of a bad joke. Julie, I'm not sure about the protocol here in the Masai Mara, so I'm not sure whether they actually will make an attempt to get the animals to go away. Yeah, I haven't looked into the protocol. I did a big essay on it in Australia, and they usually, yes, they do try and get any big wildlife animals away, or they try and at least drive some of them out, but most of the time they will naturally make their way out of the way anyway. So I've come into a longer grass area where the burning hasn't been, as I said, a little bit wider than Owino territory, and just looking around and trying my luck. This isn't a place I often look for them. Most of the time I've come across them here, it's been just off the main. I've usually been on a kill on this side. This must be their lucky side of the road, because I've seen them attempt many kills on the other side of the road but not make it. But on this side of the road, they always seem to be on a kill. So, I wonder whether that's just luck or not. Anyway, Tristan's having luck with the lions this morning. Let's go see if he's got any updates for us.
Indeed, we've thought we'd join Trishala's challenge, and it didn't take us long. It took us about 1 minute from leaving the lines to find this chameleon. They're actually quite a lot around at the moment, funnily enough, and mostly in quarries and bush willows. But this one is perched really nicely that we can actually see it. A lot of the time they're quite tricky to see because they're sort of quite far into the vegetation and can be tough to spot. But this particular fella, I say fella, but it could be a girl, I haven't checked properly yet, is sitting really nice and out in the open. So Trishala apparently is very upset that I managed to find this one before her. I'm sorry, Trishala, but to be fair, you have been dragged around by the drone, so you haven't had a chance to scan around as nicely. So we'll give you another chance at it. We'll try and maybe we should do a weekly chameleon challenge and total up chameleon sightings for the week and see who comes up on top to give everyone a fair chance. But anyway, like I say, really nice to see them. They've been so absent in the early part of summer that it's been nice in the last kind of couple of weeks. Most times that I've been out in the evenings, we've managed to, or when it's been dark, we've managed to find them. So really nice that they're starting to come out. And it was interesting, actually. I was speaking to Byron the other day, who did a bit of guiding at Londolozi recently, and his tracker, who's a very, very, very experienced gentleman who spent a lot of time in the Sabi Sands and is one of the sort of considered one of the better trackers out there. And they were saying to me that they cannot find any of them on Londolozi. They find them every now and then, but there's, one or two, but really not many at all. They've really been struggling to find chameleons, and it begs the question as to why. We were discussing all kind of plausible theories as to what could be causing the lack of chameleons this year. And maybe it's to do with very late rains. We were still very dry in November, and maybe some of the chameleons unfortunately just battled to make it through, and then from there we've had sort of up and down weather where it's been a bit of rain, it's been dry, and it's just maybe not been conducive to chameleons surviving very well. But it's an interesting thing because we're seeing a lot more than what they are down there. I was saying to the tracker that we're seeing them at the moment, and he said, no, there's still none down that side. They're really struggling to find them, and oddly enough, they're seeing the ones that they have been seeing. They've been seeing them in Tambutis. Now, both myself and Byron and James and this tracker that was in this conversation, none of us have actually seen chameleons in Tambutis prior to that. So it's an interesting thing that they're finding chameleons in Tambutis rather than the normal kind of quarries and bush willows. And I wonder why that is. I mean, there's a lot of questions about it, and a lot of kind of, I suppose, thought could go into it. But it's an interesting thing that the chameleon population is certainly not doing as well as it used to. I mean, the drought would have definitely affected it. The lack of food availability, incredibly high temperatures, lack of cover for these guys would have meant that they were heavily predated upon, and also probably struggled to find food and water. And then, as we've rolled on, we've had a few green droughts since then. So while we've got a lot of vegetation, we have very little water and very few insects. And that means that it's probably been very tricky for these guys to actually survive in any great numbers. And like I say, they would have been far more vulnerable to predation. Now, what predators they have? So there's two main kind of predators, well, three actually, for these guys out here. The first is snakes, so boomslangs, vine snakes. They go after them every now and then. Vine snakes not so much, but boomslangs predate on them quite heavily and go after them. Then you get your birds, which there's a few that will go after them, but particularly grey-headed bushshrikes target these guys, and ground hornbills. Those two go after them heavily, and if there's not enough protection, then I suppose they're being seen quite easily by birds. And then, of course, you've got your mammalian predators, and so things like civets would go after them. But I think you'd probably find that the lack of cover and the lack of insects has weakened them, and they've sat out a little bit more, and maybe birds have really hammered them over the last few years. But it's interesting. I mean, it would be fascinating to know what the density of chameleons is now compared to 2011, 2012, when we had flood years, as to whether or not the numbers have declined or gone, or how it's gone. So, yes, Kirsty, I gathered. Kathy, such delicate little hands, and Kirsty reminded me that we're talking about the chameleon and not me. Yes, I don't think I have delicate hands at all, but yes, they do. It's amazing how their kind of hands work. You see that they've got opposites on back and front feet. So if you have a look at the front foot there, you'll see that they've got 2 toes on the outside and 3 on the inside, with little claws that come off. But the back feet are different. The back feet have the 3 toes on the outside and the 2 toes on the inside. And that just helps with, I suppose, balancing them a little bit, and the ability to hold on a little bit better with those back legs. Because remember, the back legs are the anchor point for these guys. And then they'll reach up with their front legs to be able to grab different branches and to move themselves around. But really cool to kind of see their hands, and you see how they kind of split off. So it's almost like a mitten. If you had to wear a mitten, you've got like a kind of thickened area on top, and then a sort of thicker thumb area, and they've obviously got 2 digits, and then they're able to grab onto 2 branches and the likes, and they can then sit themselves on it, and those will just help them cling on. You can actually see this particular chameleon is not really holding on too much. It's almost just kind of wedged itself onto the branch, and then you've got that tail that's really curled up, which will help for balance when they're actually moving. When they're stationary like this, there's no need for them to worry about curling their tail at all. Opening their tail out and using it for balance. It's pretty much they're stationary. They're not moving around. And only if there was a huge wind that was blowing would you find that they would be gripping that branch a lot more, and the tail would be out. Anyway, we're going to leave our chameleon to itself. We're going to let it carry on with its day, and we're going to carry on. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful sunrise. There's a bit of cloud cover in the sky, and from that it looks like we're going to get a little bit of coloration from the sun. You can just see those clouds there, so hopefully we're going to get that bright kind of red coloration coming through. Now, we had to do a little bit of maneuvering to get to our chameleon because he was quite far off the road. It's actually quite a good spot, I think, considering how far it was. In fact, when you look from here, it's not easy to see at all, but luckily they're a little bit lighter under the spotlight than the leaves, and that's how you can kind of figure out that they're there. What's also interesting is the lions have gone completely quiet, so they're not far behind us, but they crossed obviously into Buffelshoek, so before you guys think that we just left them. And we can't hear them anymore, so they went and drank at Sydney's Dam, and then from there, it looked like they were going towards sort of Manyeleti, but they're much quieter. I wonder if that's because now everybody's kind of joined together. There's no reason for them to be nearly as people. Right, let's see what else we can find. We're going to do Buffelshoek cut line. There's often a jacket there that hangs around this side, close to Sydney's Dam. So we're going to try and see if maybe we can spot one of those. And then obviously it's a good route to check for any sign of Tingana. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you Hello, who's having a chat with Jamie and see if she's going to try and answer the call. Find a comedian of her own.
Well, good luck, Tristan. It seems that you have all the luck since you found the first chameleon. I am still on a mission. I will find one. I will. Now, we are discussing lots of cool things about chameleons, and I find them utterly fascinating, to be honest. So, we are at the area where Jamie asked us to be, but unfortunately she says that her hotspot has moved out, or moved away and out of this block, and she's unable to relocate it. So what I'm going to do is just have a look around here, and hopefully I'll be able to see some eyes, at least of some sort. I'm happy with just some more baby scrub hairs. What do you say? I'd be happy with more baby scrub hairs. That was so cute. Also looking up into the tops of trees, and I'm trying to have a look down where Tingana was yesterday, but I didn't see any eyes. I did hear some hyenas whooping, but I couldn't see them either. There we go. See, the sun is just starting to not peek through yet, but the light of the sun is starting to come through just a bit. There, you can have a look. And it really does look like it's going to be a beautiful morning. And there's our star out, probably a planet at this time of day. I'm not sure which one is rising at the moment. Very cool. Elizabeth, you would like to know exactly how do we find chameleons. Well, in the evenings or in the nighttime, because the chameleons that we get here are called flapneck chameleons, like Tristan would have explained, and they are diurnal, which means that they are mostly awake or active during the day. And in the nighttime they sleep, and when they sleep, they actually get paler. The need for camouflage, I suppose, is a lot less. So there's no need to invest in camouflaging at that time of day. So when they're asleep on a branch, and you know that they're arboreal, so they live in trees, when they're asleep on that branch and they get pale, without spotlight, you can see it immediately. At first, I found it really, really difficult, and I used to always wonder how on earth the guides find these chameleons in trees, and they'll just see it and know, chameleon, chameleon. But then the other day I did it. And I think since then, I can't actually imagine not being able to recognize it as soon as the light is on it. So it comes from a bit of experience. Your eyes get accustomed to seeing things. It's like when we just started in the bush, it was hard to spot animals amongst everything else because your eyes are not accustomed to it. And previously, where I worked at the Sharks Board, we used to do aerial surveys of turtles and sharks and dolphins and things like that, and it was really hard to spot them at first, but your eyes eventually become accustomed to it, and you pretty much very easily and almost without any effort can see these things. So it does happen after time, and even for you, you'd be able to spot these things. It's just a matter of having the experience and knowing what it looks like. I always find when you see it and you actually know what it looks like with your own eyes, you're not having someone else kind of guide you to it, it really, really helps. So out spotlight comes again, because remember, we've got to... I'm getting bits of lichen that are just getting to me. Can you see this little bit in here, Darby? Nope, that's lichen. That's lichen. Just up in there. That little patch right there. On the right of your screen, now in the middle of your screen. That's what I was looking at. Ah, looks like a little nest, actually. Mixed with bits of lichen on top. When I actually look at it in proportion, it's hard there because you are not actually seeing it in comparison to everything else, but it's tiny, so it is very much likely lichen. Anyway, it seems that Jamie is back up in the air and any issues have been sorted out. So let's go over to her and see if she can guide me into any exciting things that she sees.
This has not gone well at all. We have been plagued by problems. First of all, we had to come back to change batteries because Trish was a little bit too far away to get here in time. Oh, my word, shh, Game Drive Radio. And now we've lost the hotspot. Then when we try to find the hotspot again, the camera decided to point towards the sky. So we seem to have figured all of, well, I say we. Seb has figured out all these issues, and we're now, what is that? There's, no. Now we've lost the hotspot that was not moving, and therefore must have been something of interest if it's moved. Where's it gone, Seb? Where's the bridge? Where's the bridge? Me and Amu would like to know which animal is hard to spot with the drone. All animals, if they're under a big enough tree, are hard to spot. Obviously, the bigger ones, like elephants and giraffe, are the easiest, or hippopotamus, for example. They're the easiest because they have the biggest heat signatures and they're just larger. So it's easier for us to pick up on them. But for something even like a leopard, if it's lying under a tree, you know, we flew over where Tlalamba was the other day. When was it? What's today? What day is it today? Friday. Thank you. So on Tuesday, they flew over where Tlalamba was, and there was no way on earth you would ever have picked up on any kind of hotspot. But of course, think about the fact that there's certain types of animals out here that are ectotherms rather than endotherms, so reptiles, crocodiles, you'd see them, but they would not be nearly as hot. Here's that bridge through the Mulwati, or through the there. There. What are you? Hey, it didn't move. Oh dear, that's even worse. It has moved. Okay. Kirst, Seb says if we want to do something, we want to do it quick for batteries. Kirst. Okay. Switching to general. Trishala.
Let's see. Waiting for Jamie to...
Trishala, are you on general?
Jamie, I am at the boundary cut line with the Gari Main and Buffelshoek.
Trishala, switch your comms onto general comms and come along down Gari Cut Line.
That's Gari Cut Line and Buffelshoek.
Trishala, do you copy? Trish, please switch to general. Trishala, do you copy? Seb, Trishala's not answering on general.
Okay, let's stand by.
I cannot communicate with her.
She's just communicated with me now.
Hasn't moved, this hotspot.
It really looks like a leopard with a tail.
It really does look like a leopard.
Still showing final control for
is
me.
now becoming rapidly urgent given our battery levels.
Jamie, I have switched over to general. Still showing final control for me, though.
Did you hear it though?
I heard her, though. I hear you, though, so it should be fine.
Trishala, do you copy?
I copy you. I am at the junction of Buffelshoek Cutline and Gari Cutline.
Tristan, what's your position? Okay, copy. Trish, can you copy me? I'm not copying you.
I copy you. I copy you.
Copy, we're running out of battery. She needs to come south down Gari Cutline and take that 2-track that runs into the Mulwati at the junction.
Jamie, do you copy me now?
Did you copy that?
Affirm. Hello, Trishala. Trishala, we have a sleeping hotspot. Please proceed with haste down Gari Cutline.
Copy, we'll be doing that now.
Extreme
with
haste,
with haste,
if possible. Do you know that 2-track that runs from Gari Cutline and the junction to Central Road, where Hossana used to hang out round the pans?
Do you know them? Okay, Darby knows exactly where that is. He'll be assisting me.
Okay, copy. Awesome. I'll let you know when we have your visual. We've got something that has not moved the entire time. Oh, and a scrub hare running past it. He's just fast asleep. I'm hoping it's a leopard.
Copy, I'm moving with haste.
Seb and I are both in agreement. It looks like a leopard. A very sleepy one. Has not moved.
Copy, a good sleepy leopard.
Seb, she'll be coming from to the left of you, yeah. She's coming along Gari Cutline.
Like to hang out just by that, before that jackleberry.
Shala, how far along down Gari Cutline are you?
I am halfway down, just after halfway down.
Okay, copy. Figure is still very much asleep. I suspect it's a leopard with a very full belly. You should start to see her shortly there, Seb.
Copy, copy. Moving with haste still.
Okay, copy. We're waiting to see if we get your visual. We haven't got you yet. Yeah.
I don't see you either yet.
Copy. Just to confirm, you are on Gari Cutline.
Affirmative, Kari Cutline.
Okay, copy. Keep coming. Watch this hotspot get up and move while we're looking for it.
Okay, Davi.
I've got a strong suspicion that it's Tingana.
Okay.
He can lie still like no other cat I've ever seen before.
Copy. We are getting there very quickly.
Okay, copy. We're starting to run very low on battery.
That 2-track right there. Jamie, we are on the 2-track.
Negative. No, you're not. We don't have visual of you. Confirm you went from Gari Cutline to Central. You do a spin for us, please.
Confirm we can hear the drone.
Okay, copy.
We're just passing the little pan.
Okay, copy. All right, stand by there for a second. So just turn left a little.
Copy, standing by.
We might have them. Well done, guys. Okay. From where you are, the animal should be on your left. I'm just waiting till I've got visual of you. Yes. Okay. Go back to the other side of the pan and then turn right. Just turn around, go back to the other side of the pan, turn right. I wondered how we managed to miss the Mongari cut line.
Were we not facing?
No, we were facing Central.
Okay, copy on the other side of the pan.
No, negative, Trish. You're going away. Turn around. Turn around. Cutting it fine. Cutting it really
Okay, I've just
fine.
reversed. The pan is now on my left.
Okay, copy. All right. Go straight towards the pan, like the way you've come. Now the animal is directly to your right in the bushes there. So if you just cross over the pan, turn right.
Copy. Can I turn right now?
A-firm, turn right. It's probably about 20 meters or so from you. Turn right now. Exactly there.
Copy. I see a little path.
Perfect. Animal is straight in front of you now. You're probably about 15 meters. Go. Keep going.
Copy. I am
Could still be
keeping on
Tingana.
going, keeping an eye out.
Okay, it's directly in front of you. Any hot spots there?
Copy. I just got to go around a bush and broken stump here. You got a hotspot?
Copy, perfect. How are you doing there, Seb? Cutting it fine.
Jamie, with success.
Awesome. What is it?
It looks like little Tlalamba. I can't get a good visual yet. Her face
Yes,
is
Seb.
obscured.
All right.
Wow, guys, this is so cool. So with the help of the flare, we've had, and the flare, and of course the drone has assisted us in finding this little beauty. Now I think it is Tlalamba because you can see that it is quite a little leopard. And also she has the face of a little one. All the spots are still kind of close together and not very much spread out. How cool is that? Now, for those of you who don't know, Tlalamba is, in fact, a little leopard of ours. She is tiny little thing, about 15, 16 months soon. And she is a 5'5" female, which means she has 5 spots here and 5 spots here above her whiskers. So this is really nice to be able to find her here. In fact, she was on a kill not too far from here last night with her dad, Tingana, trying to steal bits of it. Now, I am quite sure this is Lalamba. Look at her. Okay, so now you can see her in the thermal camera, the flare. How pretty is that? Look at her ears. They're really, really bright white. So the bright white is where all the heat is being dispersed, and you can see that the surroundings are quite dark, so it's a bit cooler than she is, and she stands out really obviously. Now that's her ears, nose, eyes. You can see they're particularly bright, so obviously she's dissipating a lot of heat through those areas. And that would make sense, because if she spent the night eating and she needs to digest all that meat, it takes a lot of metabolic energy to be able to do that. So I believe she is fat and flat. There we go. You can see her head up. Well, she's not asleep. She's very much aware of us and the other things around her. And her head is up. But I think that will be her. Oh, just when I say head is up, she's decided to put her head down and possibly just fall asleep. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, for joining us with this. This was so exciting. It was so nice to kind of be vectored in, and I found it utterly exciting. Now, remember, you can keep on watching us. Just go onto YouTube and type in SafariLive, and you'll be able to watch how this goes. Oh, that was so cool. I want to try, now that we actually have a visual of her. She's just lying flat there, hey? Maybe if I could... I think this is probably the best. Oh, you think we should go around? Yeah, let's go around. Let's go around and get a really nice... Ooh, my ears are either too small or too big. What do you think? Anyway, let me drive around and get another great visual of her. In the meantime, let me send you over to Pat in the Masai Mara.
Here we are with the official bird of Kenya, the lilac-breasted roller. It's looking very puffy this morning, but we are probably only about 5 meters from it right now, about 15 feet. And it is very, very relaxed. It's just making a little bit of a noise. No, it must have just been moving its beak. It's nice to have it so close to us, so relaxed right now. Looking ever so puffy. It looks pretty small compared to other lilac-breasted rollers I've seen. This one from tail tip to head is probably about 20 centimeters, so just about 8 or 9 inches. Roosting in this early morning. All of the birds have been quite inactive this morning, most of them being roosting. Some vultures back earlier, and as I said, a lot of white storks that were feeding on the ground, but there was also quite a number in the trees back in that burnt area. Very nice. And on the right, we have a sunrise coming through as well, looking at very, very pretty. We have switched out of IR and are in colour now. I'm glad everyone enjoyed that lilac-breasted roller. It's very nice sight this morning. I also haven't done a sunrise segment, sunrise seggy. Seggy being the nickname we gave segments during our training here at the SafariLive. I haven't done one for a while. I've been too busy with all this lion business over the last couple of weeks, so let's just stop. I haven't really stopped to smell the roses, so to speak, so I'm just gonna stay quiet for a little bit while we enjoy this beautiful sunrise with some very nice background noises. Inhale, exhale, and relax. Kimberley, very, very beautiful colours indeed. There's a nice layer of mist or fog, just a little bit all over the land today, but it's not coming up very high, so it's just looking very nice. We can still see the treetops off in the distance, but in the foreground there's a little bit of fog there, and it's just absolutely picture perfect right now, and the red glowing sun there, it's just breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. Now that the sun is up, I think I am up as well. I do apologise, it took me it took me a good while to get it sorted and ready this morning. I wasn't really woken up by the time I came out here. But all good now. It's I suppose a little bit of an earlier start today. Didn't see the sunrise till, oh, sorry, lilac crested roller, just made it fly off. But all good in the hood now, ready to rock and roll. And while I am rocking and rolling, let's go back down to Tristan for his seggy.
Well, there's definitely an Australian twang and flavour that is coming to our drives these days, with Pat and his abbreviations and eings of everything. It's quite funny to listen to. I suppose it brings a bit of a different dimension to everything. Anyway, we are, well, bumbling at this stage, so we just kind of did Buffelshoek Cutline, Buffelshoek Dam, Nyala Roads, and just sort of to check around what's going on. And there's very little. There was just a track for what looked like a sub-adult lion or a very small lioness, which I would imagine is the Nkuhumas at some point crossing in, but it didn't look like a very fresh track. And other than that, it's quite quiet. We haven't seen any signs of anything else. I was just saying to Craig now, it's quite interesting how few Ellies we've had around of late. It seems like we had all the elephants in the world and then we had none. And so it would be nice if they came back and decided to grace us with their presence. And then, of course, well, it would be nice if some buffalo also arrived back. But anyway, we're just going to bumble about. It's now that time of the day where, you know, we should start to see a few more birds coming out and starting to move around. And, you know, some of the animals will start to wake up and begin to start walking. Drove past lots of impalas this morning after the lions that were all lying down, so they'll all start waking up now that it's gotten a bit brighter and start moving. So hopefully things will perk up a little bit in the next little while. Now, I'm not going to be driving too much more after this segment. I'm going to be handing over to Jimmy shortly for him to carry on. Romit, yes, the cheetah that used to be seen in this area, so there were 3 of them, as I'm sure you know. The mother was killed in December, I think. Sounds like by hyenas. And then the 2 sub-adults were together for a long time and were down at Sabi Sabi. After Jamie had a sighting of the 2 sub-adults here one day, and then they went down to Sabi Sabi. And then from there they were attacked the one day by Mashaben, a male leopard. And the male of the 2, it was a male and a female, The male sounds like quite badly injured and is struggling a little bit to hunt. From what I understand, the guys are saying that it's quite tricky for him to hunt at the moment, but that he might make a recovery, that the wounds are not sort of too bad, but he's just struggling. But since in that interaction, they were together for a while, and then because he was struggling to move a little bit for a few days, the female left him, and she was last seen on Mala Mala, coming north. Actually, she wasn't too far from Cheetah Plains sort of side, and the boy was mobile north as well, so he was last seen, I think, going into an area called Dudley, so from Sabi north into Dudley, which then goes into Londo Singita area, I think. But I'll try to find out what the latest is. That was about 3-4 days ago, so I'm not sure what the last update is on him or her, but we certainly haven't seen anything our side, and we'll try, like I say, I'll try and get an update from the guys today to see what's happened. So that's the cheetah. Might as well do a rundown of all the animals that we've been missing over the last few months. Styx Pride apparently is still hanging about the western sector, have been kind of in and out of the west there, and they go up towards, but they're on the northern side of the western sector, so in and out of Ottawa and that area. Day one is a male leopard from the west who's missing as well, so last seen kind of close to Simambili, Ottawa cut line, but hasn't been seen for a few days now, apparently. Hosanna, also no updates on him. He hasn't been seen in probably about 10 days now. No one knows where he is. Tamba also hasn't been seen. So not very good news, really. There's no sort of updates, or really, if I'm honest, on any of our characters that is good news, you know. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else that we need to cover. Corotine was seen a few days ago, so I suppose that's good that he's around. Good, I'm going to jump out of the driver's seat and swap over with Jimmy. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you back up to Pat so he can carry on rocking and rolling and doing his seggies.
Morning elephants. I love morning elephants. This is such a beautiful scene we've come across here. There's just some alleys that were sort of in the way when we were coming through, but now have moved off into almost the perfect position to be viewing them against this beautiful morning sunset. They're just grazing through the grass here, not a care in the world. Absolutely beautiful stuff, made even better by the fact that they are accompanied by a little Bubsy who's just gone behind this bush here. But this is what we come out here for, isn't it? These absolutely incredible moments when there is just that perfect mix of wildlife and scenery. The full spectrum of nature, isn't it? Good morning. How little that tiny little trunk is. Quite often see elephants, or young, small elephants, bringing their trunk up to their mouth and putting it in there, sometimes almost like a toddler sucking on their thumb. It just must be so strange for a baby elephant to figure out their trunk. They're very, very weird, having an extendable nose that you can do all of these different functions with, moving about, smelling things, sucking things, ripping things. Just an absolutely incredible appendage. But yes, probably a rather complex one as well. Tweety Kid, yeah, it's a painting, isn't it? It really is something special this morning. It looks like someone has made this up in their imagination. And it was, of course, crafted by the great lady herself, Mother Nature. One of the best artists I have ever seen, that is for sure. That mist is just starting to get thicker and thicker as the sun starts to poke through, so it all starts to dissipate. It's making the lion search a bit hard, but I think that's a very, very good trade-off at the moment for what we are seeing right now. It's really setting up the scene and setting up the morning. But I think for the rest of the morning, we'll be doing the rounds, doing the lion rounds. So still in Owino sort of territory, still looking about for them. But given all that burnt area that there is out there, I'm not too confident whether I'll find them here or where they actually would have gone to. But I'll continue to look for a little bit more and then head down and see the Olololo. Still no update on the female. So I'm not really sure what's happened to her. I did say that the 4 other females of the Olololo Pride were seen near the Olololo gate that morning. And then there was 2. We saw 2 females when we were coming back after the drive the night after the lion fight. Saw 2 Olololo females and they looked to be in good condition. There wasn't any noticeable injuries or any limping, any sort of noticeable pain that they were in, and they looked fine. So that is as far as I know so far with that. But anyway, go and see if I can pick back up on the Olololus or even the River Pride or even the Kichwa males. This is mist, everybody, that we are seeing out here. So it's the smoke is coming from the other side, and the wind direction has kind of kept it away from where we are at the moment. It was a lot thicker back there, but yes, what we are looking at right now is mist, not smoke. I haven't seen any signs of burning or fire over, so we are on the river side of the road, not the escarpment side of the road, so more towards the river. Alrighty, well, we have 2 little princesses down in Juma that want to do a segi with y'all.
Aw, Pat. There are 2 little princesses here. Not just 2 little princesses, there's a prince also. Davi's on board too. All right, now, we are sitting here with Lalamba and another vehicle would love to join us. So, let me guide them in slightly. I copy you. You can come straight down Gowrie Cut Line towards Central, and at the Central Gowrie Cut Line junction, you're going to cross Central, and then you can come in about 50 meters, and you'll find a little pan at which you'll turn left. At that point, you should be able to see me. Ah, there we go. So, of course, everyone wants to have a look at little princess here, who's fast asleep. Can you see that she's made herself a little hollow in the grass? She's flattened those little bits of grass, and I can imagine that they must be quite warm. Now, if you've ever slept on the ground at a festival or anything like that, gone camping, and you actually set your tent up on bits of sand instead of finding a nice patch of grass, you would know that it is cold, and it does not get warm no matter how long you sit on it. It's definitely not like a patch on your bed where it just gets warm. No, it stays nice and cold. So she's decided to insulate her hollow there with some grass. Of course, she didn't pick the grass and put it on there. She's just flattened the ones that are around her. So it gives her a bit of insulation, keeps her slightly warmer. Now, that grass might also be a little bit moist, but sometimes water can help with insulation. Also, if you've been diving, you'd know that. You open up your wetsuit as soon as you go down and fill it up with water. It's a horrible experience, but it helps you keep warm. So she's snoozing away. She's doing what I would love to do, probably in that same position. And her little tummy is full. Tiny round tummy. You can see she's still quite fluffy. Look at that fluff. She does look so sweet. You all say she looks absolutely sweet. She does. And she can I think that she hears the vehicle that wants to join before I did. But that's just how sharp her hearing is. And I love this little tail. This little tail starts to wiggle every now and then. Very, very cool. Diane, you'd like to know why leopards and jaguars look alike. Well, that has a lot to do with what we call taxonomy or phylogenetics. It means that certain animals are grouped in certain ways based on fundamental features. So she fits into the cat category. Cat category. You see there? So she does fit into that category. So it means that she shares a number of features with other cats. And that might be the same as your domestic cats as well. So they share multiple features. They can still be different. That's why we have different species. But there are multiple features that make them fit into that group. Let me just wave and say hello. I see you. Come through. Yes, so there's multiple features that make them sit in that group. Now, for carnivores exactly, for example, the teeth structure having these canines is something that's a giveaway to say that you're a carnivore. And then we go into felines or felidae. And that's where both Tlalamba, the leopard, and of course a puma, or what did you say, a jaguar, would be able to sit in. Let me just tell them that they're able to approach. Yes, you can come through. And so that's why they look very, very similar, because they will actually be very similar. There's only a few features that will be different. Maybe the coat. I know that the rosettes can be slightly different, and of course they fit into a different species category. Anyway, we can discuss more about that. Let me direct this car in. In the meantime, let me send you over to Jimmy.
Well, good morning, folks. And as Tristan said, we were just bumbling. I'm James, or Jimmy, and behind camera is Craig. We've just picked up on a little bee-eater, and this is one of our smallest bee-eaters in this area. And if you can have a closer look, you'll see that very bold yellow chin and primarily green on the back and sort of a rusty yellow front. A really pretty little guy, and they're normally in small groups, so with a bit of luck you might get another one or two coming in. They often use the same hunting perch, so if they take off they often come back to the same perch to hawk or hunt. So let's just keep on that for a sec. They're really pretty little guys. And here the good old laughing dove in the background. And here the good old laughing dove in the background. Good morning call. And a pretty little guy, hey? He's sitting in a tree called a gardenia, which has this sort of yellow mottled pale bark, and it gets a beautiful flower in spring. Can't see where the others have gone at this stage. Interesting question. The bee-eaters look similar to hummingbirds. They do look similar and very similar in shape and what they call jizz, behavior. The difference is, though, that these don't hover like hummingbirds, and they are, I would imagine, quite a lot bigger than hummingbirds. So yeah, very similar in shape. As I said, these are the smallest of our bee eaters. We have, I think, probably 4 or 5 bee eaters in this area. One of which leaves us, has just left us, is called the Carmine, and he's a biggish pink fronted bee eater, very pretty, and they come down in our summer to follow the rains and insects, and then leave towards the end of summer, heading back to, there we go, he's just taken off, joined his mate somewhere else. So we're going to leave this and bumble on and see what else we can find. Lara Moore, the reason for the bright yellow stripes is purely a color diagnostic, and it's so that they can recognize each other and stay grouped. And it probably also has a detraction, sort of a threat warning against predation, possibly, like a lot of cryptic colored insects and sometimes with birds. So it's more than likely for that reason. And they all have individual coloration, the bee eaters. So you get one called the European, which is similar to this, but it's bigger. So they all have particular coloration, and the bee eaters are all gregarious, meaning that they all move around in small groups. Oh, what's that? There we go. There's another little guy. We're just going to try and zoom in. We've got a little brown-headed parrot here. Sorry, the light isn't fantastic, but if you can see, there's a little parrot. And he's, look at that, and they're also normally in groups. And he's feeding on what's called combretum seeds. See that typical parrot beak, short, squat, curved beak for cracking open nuts and seed. See how he uses that foot of his to move food into his mouth. Very few birds do that, actually. Hear that little whistle of his? There we are. See that brown head and the green body? This is the only parrot we get in this area. Although we have some more parrots down south and in towards the forest areas. We don't get the grey parrot here, they're more Central Africa. See that little seed that he's feeding on, cracking it open, getting to the actual seed itself. He's just tearing off the casing on this seed. You see any more, Craig? Just that one, huh? It's also one of the few birds that crawl around on twigs and branches. Most of the others hop around. He's really enjoying these seeds here. Oh, there we go. Nice view of a parrot, probably heading off to join his little group. And I don't know if you could hear in the background, there was also a little owl calling. There's, one of our small owls called the pearl-spotted owl. So we're going to bumble on and let you join Trishala, who has a little leopard for you.
Oh, there's a lot of birds going on here. I think, let's listen actually for a second. Jimmy said he could hear a pearl-spotted owlet. Let's see if we can hear it too. Yes, we can definitely hear birds. I can hear the Cape turtle dove, work harder, and then I can also hear the grey gull-wing bird going, ah. There's also the emerald-spotted wood dove going, doot, 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 doot. Of course, the francolins are constantly shouting. We have little flies all over us. Now, this little princess has decided, obviously, to take a beauty sleep. Not as if she needs it, because I think that she's a stunning little leopard. So she was born in November 2017, so that makes about 16 months this month. And now that she's kind of past that 15-month age, she's a little safer than she was before that, when she could possibly have been at risk of infanticide by other males in the area. But of course, that's why Tingana still being around, or her still being around in Tingana's territory, is sort of a bit of a safety mechanism for her. As long as he's around, she doesn't really have a problem. So it's only a matter of time until she finds her own territory and grows up so strong. Eggie, you would like to know if I've ever had a bad experience getting close to a leopard. Bad experience? No. I've had some experiences where I was surprised or caught off guard because I didn't expect a leopard to be so close to me. And the one time that always comes to mind is the one with Tingana, when I had him unexpectedly walk towards the vehicle when we were all staring up at the sky in the drone. So that, of course, was a bit scary. It did take a bit of a while to turn around there, because it seems every time I turn very fast, she gets a bit of a jolt. Same with the cubs, I noticed that. So now I'm just taking it a bit easy. But there is that time, and the other time I found Tandy a couple days ago when she took me through the bushes, and she was just pulling me all over, through up and down a drainage. Oh, it was quite a roller coaster. That time, I also ended up quite close to her, but she didn't hiss at me or anything like that. She was very relaxed. So I haven't had bad experiences with leopards. Not at all. I've had just slight surprises. Scratchy, scratchy. Now, we were talking about differences sort of within the feline group. And there are striking differences. Now, obviously, we're grouped that way because they all have adapted to a certain niche within the environment that has allowed them to all need claws, or all need long limbs, or stocky bodies, or thin bodies. All those things matter. Now, one of the things that are quite shared amongst these cats are strangely the spine, or is strangely the spine. The spines of these cats tend to be really, really flexible, and that's how they can get a lot of their speed, because speed is very much associated with muscle and, believe it or not, having a big bum. Yes. For humans, our backsides have evolved in order to stabilize us while we run. And you notice that with athletes, when you get sprinters, you'll see that they have really big glutes. And it's similar to these animals, but they have the advantage of having a flexible spine that kind of contracts and expands as they run. Anyway, we'll talk about a little bit more about felines and the whole family in a bit. Let me send you back over to Patrick in the Masai Mara.
Well, looks like we've found ourselves a lappet face vulture here. Torgos tracheolotus. Tracheoliotus. There we go. I got there eventually. Sorry, sometimes these scientific names can be a bit of a tongue tie. Even just saying tongue tie then. Kirsty's telling me to say it 3 times fast, so you know what? I'm going to take you up. I'm going to do it. Tracheoliotus. And now it just sounds like I'm trying to cast a spell on someone. So definitely one of the larger, if not the largest vulture we get here in the Masai Mara. Not super common. Not very overly common, but we do see them. Always tend to see at least 1 or 2 around a carcass. And they're not really migratory birds as such, but they do move thousands of kilometres at times. So they're a bit of a mobile bird. Of course, being a vulture, will resort mostly to scavenging, finding a carcass using that old world vulture sight, and then coming down where they usually do get a bit of dominance over the rest of the vultures, being so large. They can almost reach a wingspan of actually about 3 meters almost, so about 9 feet, which is huge, very huge. It's like 1.5 me, very big. Speaking of scavengers, there's a little black-backed jackal just cruising up the road there on its lonesome. Let's move too far away now. Romit wants to know what the most popular bird here in the Mara is. That's a tricky one to answer. I know that people do enjoy the various eagle species that we get out here. We get quite a few, Marshall and the steppe and the snake eagles and battaliers. So the birds of prey are definitely sought after, even some of the vultures, although they're not really that liked by a lot of people. I know some people do find vultures to be not overly attractive. The ostriches as well, of course. They're quite rare for us to come across in Juma, and obviously being such a unique bird, definitely sought out by some. And then turricos, Ross's turrico. It's a very rare bird to find here, but a very beautiful bird. A whole heap. Grey-crowned cranes, obviously, people love them. People very, very much love them. I quite often see safari guides pulled over because their guests want to take photos of the cranes and the saddle-billed stork. So, yeah, they're the kind of higher profile birds. And there's probably a whole number of rare birds that do occur here that people come here seeking out. And thanks for the question, Romit. Romit actually used to supply our camp, or Masai Mara camp, with various sorts of tea. So thank you so much for that. Marcus, can a vulture's head get sunburned? Well, this lappet-faced vulture, as you have picked out, is not really having any feathers on the head for protection. So I would imagine they would try and keep it in the shade at times. I'm not sure about whether it would actually get sunburned or not, although being closely related or closer to the reptiles and a lot of other animals, it's, It probably has that thicker leathery skin that's a bit more resistant to sun than the mammals. So I don't think it probably would get that burnt, although it does look like it already is quite burnt. It looks like it's been at the beach all day without any hat. Looks like it was cleaning its slotted feathers there. So a lot of the bigger birds will have slotting, which is when it looks like they almost have fingers at the end of their wing. If you see the wings spread out, it will kind of look a little bit like that towards the end, and that is just to reduce turbulence. So obviously there's a little bit of a concave in the shape of the wing, so the air passing over the top is moving faster or has a longer distance to travel than the wind moving underneath, and therefore at the end of the wing it has to level out, and that is why you get turbulence, because that leveling out causes shaking of the wing. And so to compensate for that, a lot of bigger birds will have that, or soaring birds at least, will have that slotting to help even out that turbulence and keep things nice and controlled. All right, well, seems like Tristan's having a good morning down in Juma. Let's go and see what he is getting up to right about now.
It is turning out to be a great morning. Now, I would really like Talamba to lift her head, and I'm sure that she will for us, because there's a surprise. I won't tell you what it is, but as soon as you see it, you'll know. Hello, are you going to pick up your head for us? Too sleepy. Absolutely too sleepy. Well, I'm not surprised. Like I said before, she was feeding off a bit of Tingana's kill that was not far away from here at all. So that tiny belly is a bit round, a little bit full. I'm glad that she got some of the meal from yesterday. Poor Tingana. Well, it serves him right. He was often stealing Hosana's kills, and now he's got another little one to steal bits of his. Nan, you'd like to know who and where this young leopard's mother is? I love your concern, because you would think as a young leopard she'd still need very much of her mum's guidance, but like we said, she's about 15 or 16 months, well, 16 months this month. So she is actually very, very close to independence. At about 18 months, she'll be completely independent. In fact, she's already behaving like she's independent. She's taking her own kills, and she's actually starting to be on her own very much. So her mother is a female leopard named Thandi, and she is about 12 or 13 years old as well, and this is her most recent little one. And Mum was last seen a bit further away from here, but she doesn't need to associate with Mum very much anymore. Now that she's been taking down her own kills, and she's not taking down just small animals. Remember, there was a time she would go after squirrels and mongoose and try her luck at that, but now she's taking down quite big prey, adult impala. So she really doesn't need any assistance at this point, and she pretty much is independent. Even though the books say 18 months, I would say Talamba's already there, just in her behavior and how much time she's spending on her own these days. But I think that she thanks you very much for your concern, because she gave a little flick of the tail. I'm sure that was directed at you. Now that little tail that does flick, I love that how when they're I love when the tail does flick and gives you a little indication of their emotions. But we'll speak more about that soon. Jimmy is at my favorite place. Can you guess which one it is? Yes, you can.
Well, we couldn't bumble without going past this little chap. It's the first time I've seen him live, and we're trying to ID the female. It's a little bit difficult from this angle, but there's a tiny cub that just climbed over her, And then there's a sub-adult running around here. We haven't been able to get him on camera yet. Having a good morning bath there. Those distinct paws and claws on that little guy. Yeah, good face wash. Beautiful soft light on them now. A great time of day for viewing. That one Nick. Ryan, is this ribbon? Okay, there's a big notch in the bottom of her left ear. Okay, so the other one, Corky, has got a big notch on the top, I believe, as well. So thank you, Ryan. Ribbon and cub. Look at that, it's fantastic. A laughing dove again in the background here above us. Sorry, Cape Turtle Dove, yeah. Having a really good bath this morning. Ray, interesting question. With youngsters, it's very, very difficult. And with adults, the females are bigger, larger than the males. So it's always a bit tricky because the organs, the sexual organs, they both have similar looking sexual organs. So it's always a little bit tricky, but behaviorally, one can distinguish if one gets to know the individuals of a clan or at a den, and generally the more dominant adults are, well, they always are females because it's a matriarchal system, so it's not always easy to tell the difference. It looks like she's limping a bit, this adult. Yeah, she's got a horrible limp on her back leg there. Yeah, she's moving off, and the little guys are staying put. They're not going to venture too far from there while the adult moves off. There she's lying down again. She's lying down, so we're going to go around a bit and see if we can get another view of them. Pat, we're going to leave you while we get a better position and link you over to Pat with some buffalo in the Mara.
Oh, we've just come across a few herbivorous mammals in the one vicinity at the moment. There's this long line of buffalo that seems to be never-ending at the moment. There's just more and more coming. But the trajectory of where they're heading is about to cross paths with about 9 or 10 elephants in a herd. I'm just wondering whether there would be any conflict between the two. I doubt it. I've quite often seen elephants and buffalo grazing within very tight vicinities. they seem to get along just fine. There's definitely a lot less competition for food amongst the herbivores than there are for the carnivores. I think it's about 10% of all energy that is consumed from grass by herbivores. Well, actually, no. I could be a bit off here because this statistic was one I learned in marine biology and I believe applies to the ocean. But 10% of all energy consumed from the primary producers makes it up to the next level, to the carnivorous level of the trophic web, or the food web. But yeah, I'm not sure whether that does apply to land as well, now that I think about it. But a lot more food available for herbivores here, that is for sure. I mean, the carnivores have it pretty good here as well, in comparison to other places, even at Juma, especially in those drier months, those drier winter months. So the elephants and the buffaloes are heading towards the same place. Perhaps there's a little water hole there. The sun's just starting to get a little bit of warmth to it now. I'm just starting to feel it on my face. And Louise, yes, I most definitely do think that elephants feel the cold, especially the smaller elephants. Larger elephants, not so much because of the surface area to volume ratio that they hold. They will lose heat a lot slower than smaller animals, so it will take them a lot longer to feel the cold. But yes, if it was quite cold, they would definitely notice it. As I said, those large body sizes do help compensate for that. Although when it does get too hot, that's why they have all of those built-in mechanisms to keep themselves cool. Like the big thin ears with all the blood vessels going through them to keep them cool. And mud bathing, putting water on themselves, staying in the shade. And I suppose eating grass at this time of the morning would also help to keep them cool, because there's quite a lot of, though we haven't had much rain, there's still a lot of condensation, which would be keeping the grass quite cool. There was a hippo here on the scene as well, but it seems to have made its way elsewhere, and so shall we, that elsewhere being South Africa, Jimmy and his hyenas.
We've repositioned round to another part of the den, and here are two slightly older cubs which belong to a female called June. And you can see they're a little bit older and they have got definite spots already, whereas the others had very, very little sign of spots. These to me look around probably 2.5, 3 months. I'm not too sure, but you can see how they lose that black bear-like look as they start getting older. Very inquisitive at this age. They will sniff and check out everything at this age. See how relaxed they are around vehicles. They've been really habituated from a tiny age. I didn't get the first name. Have I had any memorable interaction with lion and hyena? I have a few years ago. We used to have quite a lot of action between lion and hyena up in an area called Savuti, which was famous for hyena, big clans of hyena. And it's one of the areas where hyenas sometimes dominate over lions. They would even rob lionesses of kills. So that was quite a special place for interaction between lion and hyena. Generally, the lion would dominate, but where the clans get very big, they can sometimes take over lion kills. You know, it's also a fallacy that these hyena are scavengers, but they're extremely efficient hunters, and in some areas do more hunting than scavenging. The guys are still waking up, not as active as normal. Kudu barking in the background. It's interesting. Might be worth checking out.
It's off our property, but it's close.
We just heard a kudu alarm call, which more often than not gives us a good idea of a cat of sorts. Could either be lion or leopard moving through that area, but it sounds like it's across one of our boundary roads. So we'll just wait to see before we check the cut line and see if we come up with any tracks on that road. So while we wait for another call or go and check that track, we're going to pass you over to Trishala.
Looks like we have found something interesting on Tlalamba. Now, I did say that there was a bit of a surprise. And hopefully, please pick your head up, my girl. Now, well, what you saw there was a tick on her ear. And very disgustingly, oh, let's see, look at her eyes, everybody. Look at her eyes and get a close look if she looks our way. So she seems to have 2 ticks. One on each eye, kind of just on top of her eyelash line. Tlalamba. That was Kirst's suggestion. Say her name and maybe she'll look. But no, not at all. So she has 2 little ticks, one on each eye, just above here and just above here. So they look like fake eyelashes that are kind of just hanging off. The really horrible ones that don't suit the people's faces, they're too big and too thick. That's exactly what it looks like. So she's got those hanging off her eyes and they look so uncomfortable. Oh, I can't even imagine that happening.
Couple on the back of her head.
Oh, there's even some at the back of her head there. Ooh. Oh, Tlalamba. Now, at these ticks, usually they will feed on blood, and then, of course, they'll need that in order to get into their next form or their next nymphal stage, and then they'll go on like that. And when they're done sucking out everything they need to suck out, they will drop off. So it's not as if she will live with these ticks forever, and they'll start living inside of her and going into her body and all of that. No, it's a sort of a brief interaction, and of course they can handle a certain pest load. Everything in nature works together. Ticks need to survive. They're important for the environment and for the ecology of Djuma here and anywhere really in the world, because they're very, very diverse and widespread. But ticks feed birds. They I'm sure they feed other little animals as well. I think mites feed on them as well. So all of that is important. So she can take a certain pest load. In fact, it's sort of her duty in a way. But they will fall off, so hopefully she won't have to deal with them. I've seen her kind of scratch her face a little bit and pull it off. Linda, you say you'd like to do the honors of going over to her and picking the ticks off her. I think the same. I would love to just go over to her, give her a cuddle first, and then pick some ticks off of her. But like I said, they will fall off. And what she's done, you can see her kind of doing this every now and then. You would have seen that with your house cat also, when something's bothering them on their face, and she's been trying to take them off just a little bit. But I do think it's a bit of a half-hearted try because she's very sleepy at the same time. So they are trying, she is trying, so they obviously are irritating her. But they will drop off soon, hopefully. Ticks are quite interesting. For those of you who don't know, ticks are actually not insects at all. They are arachnids, not in the same affair. Viewers, you're all asking if I could please go over and do it myself. Davi has to hold me back at this point. Because once she picks her head up and you see the ones on her eyes, you will all freak out. Because it does really make me want to just go over and pluck it off her eyelashes. Oh, it's something else. And then can you imagine if like an oxpecker comes along and decides that's the juicy one it wants, the one from the eyelids. Ugh. Oh, I can't imagine. It's bad enough picking ticks off your dog. You feel so much pain for them. Consulting detective, you say she needs to befriend a baboon. Well, leopards and baboon have a poor relationship, to say the least. They definitely are not on good terms. So maybe she will be the unlikely animal friend of the baboon, and the baboon can come and pick all of these things off of her. But then I feel like the baboon would need a free ride on her back as well. So it's going down a dark hole here. What else could they do together? Oh, I imagine them holding hands. The baboon leading Tlalamba through, holding her tail. See, I think she agrees. She twitched her tail there. Very nice. It would be like a children's book. That's what Kirst suggests. There's one I remember when I was little. Oh, not that little. It must have been about 10 years ago or so. Oh, are you going to show us your face? No. And there was, I forgot these guys' names. Roscoe and Surya, I think, was the name of the two unlikely animal friends. And Roscoe was, of course, the dog, and Surya was an orangutan. And they used to go everywhere together. They used to even go swimming together, which I thought was so cool. I saw one picture of the orangutan with a life jacket on, and Roscoe sitting next to it. So it can happen. It's not so unlikely. It would be a wonderful children's book. Especially where they start to compare teeth, and Tlalamba gets very upset that hers are actually smaller than the baboon's. She's so peacefully sleeping. You'd never say that her eyes are full of those ticks. Ugh. Ah, yes, we were talking about tails, and now that she's flicking it about a little bit, we can actually speak about it. So, the tail of a leopard, or most cats, actually, apart from obviously being a part of their body, an appendage, like anything else, apparently is a way for them to display some sort of emotion, or a way for them to... I used to often think, you know, when you're hunting and they're concentrating, you see it wiggle about like that. But it's actually a display of their emotions and how they're feeling at the time. Now, when I say feeling, of course, I don't mean whether they're feeling loved or anything like that. It's totally instinctual. But instinct is linked to your hormones and all sorts of things. So it's not to say that they don't feel. And the tail wiggling about often shows excitement. It can show other types of, maybe they're concentrating or they're excited, and you'll see little wiggles in the tail. So I find it very interesting. There's not a lot of research done on exactly why these tails do these things. And I think that's difficult because obviously you have brain function and hormones and chemicals and all of that to think about as well. So there's not a lot of research done on it. So it's nice to speculate exactly what they could be thinking. For example, I think she's dreaming at this point. Either she's a little restless because she moved it quite a bit, but when she moves that little end, I feel like she's dreaming. That tail is also really nice that in the tall grass when you can spot it, because it's got this flush of white on the underneath, and it's really stark against the background of the bush. Almost always, if you see something white in the bush, it's not a plant, it's not part of the bush, because nothing really in the bush looks that white, unless you're looking at a jasmine flower, and even that you'd be able to tell because it's small. And what the tail also does is it can, when they get shouted at by birds and the birds are constantly alarming at them and all of that, then they'll lift their tail up and will sort of give a white flag, or what I call a white flag kind of wave with the tail, as if to say, yes, 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 I know that you see me, please stop shouting at me. So there's all these kind of emotionally linked or communication linked things that go on with this tail. Really cool stuff. If only she would lift her head. Lalamba, I really want to show them your ticks on your eyes, because it's disgusting. Very, very cute. Oh, oh. A little stretch, please lift up your head. Ramona, you had an interesting question. You'd like to know when exactly she'd start breeding. Well, she'd be independent at about 1.5 years, like we said, 18 months. And then between 2 to 4 years, she'll become sexually mature. And that's when she can actually start to breed, of course. So still a way to go for her. She still needs to become a nice, big, strong leopard. And then the interval for that type of breeding is about 2.5 years. But I say this based on books that I've read and the experience I've had. However, for example, Thandi tends to breed quite regularly, or less than that interval. Even after 1.5 years, Thandi seems to be on the ball when it comes to doing her best to keep her genes going. So there is a lot of variation, but she will be sexually mature between 2 to 4 years old. Oh. Oh, a bit of a stretch. Oh, girl. By the end of the show, you need to show us your face. Please. Okay, well, she's rolled over and she's decided the other side of the little hollow of hers is nice and softer and warmer. Anyway, let me send you up to Patrick in the Masai Mara and see what he's got for you.
Righty, so we have come down more towards Little Governors. I've heard reports that there is a pride of lions somewhere down this way. Little Governors being the area where they let off some of the hot air balloons of a morning here in the Masai Mara. So where we've run into the pride, well, thinking back now, it's hard to say whether it was the River Pride or the Ololola Pride, but it seems as if it may have been the River Pride that we see down here a bit now that I think about it, because we did see those 2 Kichwa males down here the other day, and one was mating with a female. I wasn't sure which pride it was from, but after the other day's events, there was one female that in particular was hanging around Fang a bit more than the others, and perhaps that was the one that was mating with him. So it could have been the River Pride that we did have it down here not so long ago. Yeah, didn't really hear anything else more after that one mating event that we saw. I obviously left because we found another pride, which I now have no idea which one that could have been. It may actually have even been the rest of the River Pride, as there was only one female gone. And they went out and hunted, well, tried to hunt a warthog and failed. But yeah, I'm not really sure what happened in terms of the rest of that mating or how long it went on for. Lady Starfire, yes, we do see a few flowers here in the Mara when we are driving about. Not as many as Juma after we get rains, but we do have the odd flower or two here. To be honest, I haven't picked up a flower identification book for the Mara. I'm not even sure if there is one for the Mara. I'm sure there would be one broader book for that would encompass at least some of this area. But yes, the odd flower, there's one that we quite often see. It's a very bright purple one. Kind of has a bit of a bell shape to it. So just coming in, we just went through a very, very thick patch of fog. It was incredibly thick, actually. I mean, it was only short-lived. There was only probably, I don't know, 200 or 300 metres, but we can even see it just ahead of me, this strip kind of under the mountain. That was that fog patch that we just came through. It was, yeah, thin but thick. If that doesn't really make sense. The area of it was thin, the fog itself was very thick. So now I have made it along the river. I will be looking about to see if I can spot some lions, perhaps listening out for some alarm calls, which is what Jimmy is doing right now in South Africa.
The one on the right might be a bit better, Craig. You can see, so we did a circle around where we had heard these kudu alarms, and we've come up with a leopard track. It looks like a tom, a leopard, a male leopard, and you can see the track there. He's moving in the opposite direction of us, so we're going to turn around just now and try and follow up. But the kudu have stopped, so they probably run off in the opposite direction. So we'll turn around and see how far we can follow him until he turns off the road. You can see those tracks there. Quite obvious and quite a big track, so it's definitely a male. So we're going to just turn around and follow slowly. How's that, Craig? Good? Sorry, guys. Yeah, sorry, while we carry on trying to find this guy, with a bit of luck, we're going to pass you back to Trishala.
I give you some of my luck, Patrick. Even though it wasn't that much, because really we would have never found this little thing if it weren't for the drone, which was really, really helpful. And of course it was also very dark, so it was tough to see tracks in the road. I mean, if we saw tracks, we would have been able to find it, but it was really dark. So the help of the drone was just first class at this point. So if Pat needs some luck, I give him some leopard luck. All the way to Pat in Masai Mara. My little one is still asleep. Semi-asleep. Ah, Jimmy, not Pat. Pat, you can also have some leopard luck. See, if Pat comes across a leopard now, you must know it's because of my leopard luck I sent him by mistake. Jimmy can also have some leopard luck. He's been having some great bird luck. As for me, it seems like there's not much else going on around Lalamba. I don't see very many insects and or birds at the moment, but that makes sense because maybe they're trying to stay away from her. But I've often seen starlings up in the bushes and things that will just shout and shout and shout, not move away and just look and shout at a leopard. or even have the lion. It almost sounds like they're saying, lion, lion, lion. Quite crazy. You'd never think that something so sweet and innocent and small would strike fear into the hearts of the birds around her. Jody, that's a really interesting question. What do I think would happen if Hosanna and Tlalamba found each other? I reckon if they had to find each other, they would, well, they're male and female, so A, they're not going to fight. They are probably going to mate, if I'm quite frank, because depending on her age, obviously, and depending how, if Hosanna is actually starting to mate properly, because the last time that we saw him, he still wasn't mating, because he wasn't really territorial. Neither is she right now. So if, let's go 2 years into the future, no, let's go 4 years into the future. So she's nice and stable, territorial leopard. And so is Hosanna. And they come across each other. They will very likely mate. I would think so. It happens often within the cats. They can mate for, I think, as much as 6 generations inbreeding before they'll actually have a problem. So it's not unlikely that they would be mating. But now when I think of her, I don't think that it's anything that she would be concerned about just yet. At the moment, she's just concerned about getting through this first year and a half and being totally independent. And of course, finding herself a bit of territory to defend. Of course, she'll inherit part of that from Thandi. Sort of a bit of a gap that Thandi will give her, and then she'll expand from there and create her own territory. I think it would be quite sweet if they do meet. More so if we see them when they meet. That would be particularly sweet. Just listening out. I wonder if I heard thought I heard something deep, like a bit of a saw. But I wouldn't be too surprised because Tingana was around here. But let's just wait and see. Oh yes, you decide to lift your head up just as we have to go to Patrick. Well, let's go over to him because he has found another type of cat.
Well, yes, I have found at least a lion. There's a male sitting very majestically here. I can only assume from where we are that it is one of the Kichwa males. And earlier on, I did see a black tip through the tail. So it may very well be Fang. Actually, so there is a road there that will actually take me closer to this male lion, so we can actually have a closer look. So just bear with me while I do get in there, and then we can get a proper ID, well, at least a better idea of who this male is. I don't think this is the only lion in the area. I heard it was a whole pride that was found, and my assumption is that it is just further around from where we are right now, but we'll check out this male first and then see if we can find the others. I'm not going to say the rest of the pride because if this is a Kichwa male, then it will not be here. Oh, well, I suppose it may be the river. Thanks everyone for your congratulations on finding lions. It's better late than never when it comes to lions. Good, here's a road here. Very nice. So yeah, my gut is telling me that this is a Kichwa male, and if that is the case, then it may be the river pride that I have heard is around the area. And if that is also the case, hopefully, well, how long ago were they with that hippo? That was 2 days ago now that they were still feeding on it, so maybe willing to go for a hunt. There's only one way to know for sure, so I will try to catch up with them soon. Just want to take a look at this male here. maybe the pride is in. Sorry, that was a little bit bumpy there. It could be in amongst these bushes here as well. Almost there. Everyone is saying how beautiful Fang is. He is. He's a very handsome one. Although he is missing a tooth, I think, yes, very good looking. I saw some footage and photos of Kapuli yesterday. He's looking very, very good at the moment. Lauren took some epic shots of Kapuli and the cub yesterday. It was magical to see what she had captured there. Absolutely magical. Maybe the way the light is hitting the mane, but the mane doesn't look like it's Fang. Give us a yawn. Look at the camera and give us a yawn. 3, 2, 1. Yes, Kirsten, it most definitely is a male. We can confirm that, unless this is some extremely rare case of having a bearded lady, which I highly, highly doubt. Give us a look at your face. Well, okay, maybe it is the way the light is hitting the mane. It's starting to look a little bit more like Fang towards the back there. You can see a bit of a dark patch. It's actually crazy to see how much a lion's mane can change in terms of the positioning of the light. Sometimes it can really throw you off, knowing exactly who it is, just because the light. It looks like the lion has lifted its head to look at these antelope on the horizon here. I don't think it'll go for it. Other animals are also lifting their head, other cats even, down in South Africa.
Yes, little Tlalamba has finally lifted up her head, and she went through a little patch of restlessness, a big stretch and a yawn, and now her head is up. And hopefully she'll turn to us soon, and you'll be able to see her eyes. I feel like it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh, there we go. Now have a look there. Oh, look at that. Girl, you have a tick on your eye. Looks like she managed to get the second one off. Well done. How uncomfortable does that look? That looks ridiculously uncomfortable. And she has been trying to pull them off, so at least she succeeded with the one. Ooh, there's one in the corner too. Oh, that looks so uncomfortable. That must obscure her vision so much. Shame. I'm sure she'll get it off though. She's gotten the other one off. So the way that tick would have ended up on her eye is that ticks kind of hang about on the tips of grasses, and you'll see that you would have seen them hanging around on the tips of grasses, especially when you go on bushwalk and anything like that. And they'll wait for a passerby to come along, because they can't actually jump or fly, and so they'll have to wait for somebody to come along and sort of carry them, and then that's how they'll get their host. So she must have walked through some bush where the ticks would have been at the perfect height for her eyes, and unfortunately latched on there. Shame. Now, we were talking about differences and similarities in cats, so this is quite an interesting one, especially now that we're looking at her eyes. Oh, well, we were looking at her eyes until she decided to be rude and turn around. is that your domestic cats will often, or well, always has the slit eye. You'd have noticed that. Whereas these big cats, lions, leopards, they have round pupils in their eyes. And I always found it quite interesting that that is the case. And it's still not really clear how the mechanisms of this actually work. But apparently, the slit eye is something that animals that are low towards the ground would use in order to focus the light that's coming in. But round people, you notice the same with snakes, because snakes also have the slit eye and they're low on the ground. But then you may notice that snakes that are in trees have rounder pupils in their eyes because they're looking from a different vantage point. Now, big cats are much taller than your domestic cats, so they need the rounder eye in order to take in all of their surroundings, and because they have the binocular vision, they're okay with that. And of course they have the reflective tapetum lucidum at the back of their eyes also to assist. Now, generally speaking, the rounder the eye, the more area or space there is to collect light and of course give that information to your brain to create a picture. And with the slit eyes, apparently it helps very much with focusing in, zooming in on prey. Ah, you've decided to stir, my girl. She looks so unsure. She looks like me in the morning when I get up. Unsure about whether I should be up or shouldn't be up. Most of me says, you shouldn't be up, Trishana. You should be asleep. Sun's not out. She's probably thinking the same thing. Look at that. She's not focused on anything. She's just in a daze. Yes, I'm talking to you. Ah, Kirst asks if maybe she's having a bit of a pee, but it doesn't look like it. She looks like she's putting in zero effort whatsoever. She's just gotten up and she looks like she just needs a moment. You know when you get up in the morning and you just need a moment to figure out what is happening? This is what it looks like in leopard form. She's actually in a really nice position for you to see that outline of a leopard and how... Oh, what have you seen? How this outline of a leopard is quite distinctive. The shoulders sticking out, that stocky build, the tail. She's definitely noticed something. I wonder if it was that shouting Franklin that's just gotten her attention. Lara Moore, you'd like me to figure out how many ticks we can count at the back here. Well, we can do it together. Whoa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then at the top there, 13, 14, 15. 16 on the eye. Didn't do the ears yet. I saw that one attached to the outside of the ear, inside of the ear. What were we on? 16, 17 in ear. 18 in on tip of other ear. Whew, that's a lot. And I bet you that's a conservative estimate right there. There'd be a whole host of them, I would think. Wow! Like little raisins. Oh, I must agree with you all. I just want to pick them off. This is an oxpecker's feast. We've had enough of these ticks. We can't look at it anymore. We can't. They're just blood-sucking parasites that are just spoiling everything. Can't do it. So let's go over to Jimmy at the hyena den, where there's a different type of, I suppose, smelly and pest.
speaking of leopards, how many ticks did you count on that? We sadly didn't find this other leopard. We lost his track heading sort of southwest off the main road. So we've 16 ticks on that leopard, shame. So we've left that track heading off the road and have come back to watching Sleeping Ribbon. She's dug herself a nice little dip in the sand, and she's having a great sleep while we just wait and hopefully get another alarm call. But in the meantime, we'll watch Ribbon. Not too much action of the youngsters right now, although we haven't been right around the den. But we'll just stand by and see if any action happens with the youngsters. And yeah, still the birds are calling. A beautiful morning here. And yeah, we'll just sit and watch her while she carries on snoozing. Having a really good sleep, this one. Didn't even seem to pick her head up when we moved back in here. Lisa asking if animals can get diseases from ticks. Is that's how I read the question? They certainly can. There's a few species of ticks. In fact, there are many species of ticks, and different species of ticks would give different diseases to animals. These more hardier animals generally don't get affected, but the more domesticated animals, your cattle, and obviously our dogs, pets, they would certainly get diseases from ticks. Dogs get a disease from ticks called distemper. And then you get, the cattle often get diseases from ticks. So one has to dip them quite regularly to keep the ticks numbers down to a minimum. And some of the diseases in cattle from ticks is red water, heart water, and there's a few other diseases that is carried on by ticks to animals. So yes, they do. They certainly do get affected. The hardier wild animals tend to build up resistance to ticks, although unless their numbers get out of control, obviously. And a big plus in the wild areas is that you have these mud pools. So you'll often see animals rolling in mud, especially buffalo, rhino, warthogs, stuff that can, elephant. And that mud would crust, as it hardens, would crust the ticks and fall off, and that would help them rid themselves of ticks. And then obviously the little oxpeckers that land on a lot of the antelope and giraffe, rhino, buffalo, they would feast off these ticks of these animals. So they play a vital role in controlling tick numbers on these animals. Sid, I think definitely so. The hyena are often wallowing in water and in wallows and also mud, and they actually like water, especially when it's hot. So I think that would definitely play a role in controlling the tick numbers on hyena. And they also, being social, they also clean each other quite regularly, so that would help. Whereas the leopard, unless the leopard is with its mother, is being raised by its mother, once they go solitary and on their own, it's very difficult to control ticks around the neck, the ears, in places they can't reach with their mouth. So it definitely would be higher in leopard than hyena, I would imagine. It would be interesting to know with tiger and tiger in India. I would imagine they also like water like hyena. So it would be interesting to know if tigers' tick numbers are less than, for example, our leopard. That would be an interesting study. Well, we're going to leave Ribbon to snooze and do one more circle around and then bumble again and see what else we can find. We're going to continue circling this area. I don't want to move her off her position, so we're going to link you to Pat in the Mara.
Well, we could confirm that that was in fact Fang that we saw back there. We got a close-up look of his face and that cut he sustained during all of the fighting between the two prides the other night. He got a big cut along the inside of his eye, and that was definitely still there and looking quite sore for the poor boy. But we have moved off because I have heard that somewhere around here there is a black rhino lurking, and so I thought that maybe instead of last-minute lions, let's try and get some last-minute rhino. Although no sign as of yet. I've heard down this road in the thickets somewhere there is one hanging about. There was a bunch of elephants back there. So I'm just looking in all directions right now, hoping that one does spring out. Well, it wouldn't really be springing out. Rhinos don't tend to move that quickly most of the time. Oh, I'm really keeping my fingers crossed here. Oh, is that it? Yes. So we have a black rhino and a calf, it looks like, or at least young. Woohoo! Nice. So this looks to be a female rhino and her young. Awesome find. So there we go with some with some elephants in the background as well. So better late than never this drive. We had male lions, rhinos and elephants all within the last little bit. Such awesome stuff. So this is the second time I've got to see a black rhino here in the Masai Mara. I'm very happy right now that we have come across them here. Although they are in the long grass, it's still very plain to see that keratin horn, or those keratin horns. Glad everyone is happy along with me. Please forgive me if I get your name wrong, but something along the lines of Ravendish is always asking for black rhino. So here you go. I really hope that you are watching along right now. Woo-hoo-hoo. So those horns, not being like the tusks of an elephant and being made out of ivory, these are made out of keratin. Puma says we've had a big 5 drive. Wow, that is epic. Very cool stuff. So the big 5, 5 animals that used to be named because they were the most dangerous to hunt on foot, but now obviously times have changed and that is frowned upon. So now they are just the 5 big animals that we do love to see out here. And wow, very cool, very happy stuff. I'm just going to move up so we can keep looking. This is also a no off-roading zone, so this might be a little bit tricky trying to get a good look here. Oh no, they're poking. There we go. Awesome, so this one looks like a pretty young'un there. There we go, that young'un coming through there. Very, very nice. Sorry, we're just going to keep moving to keep up. Sorry, this is a bit of a tricky one here because we are in long grass amongst thick vegetation and so I'm just trying to get in the right spot here to get a look at it without having to go off-road at all. So do please bear with me. This is a little bit trickier than usual. Jonathan, who do I think would win in a fight between a rhino and a hippo? That is a great question. Sorry. Yeah, that is a really good question. I honestly think a hippo would win. Oh, no, sorry, I'm going to go with rhinos. I'm going to go with a rhino. It would be a... I think the hippo would have more aggression and probably attack with more power and force, but a rhino is much better protection, and they can also get quite a bit of momentum behind them when they do go for a charge. Kirsty is saying her vote is a rhino. I think I'm going to open this up to everyone and comment using that hashtag SafariLive. Let me know who you think would win in the fight out of a rhino and a hippo. Right now, the rhino is beating me in the fight of cat and mouse, of viewing. You see it through the trees here. Indigo Girl is voting on rhino as well, so that's 3 for rhino. Rhino getting all of the love this morning. It sounds like hippos aren't getting any of the love whatsoever, so it seems like all votes are going towards the rhino, which, yeah, is probably fair. We can just kind of see their bums as they're moving through. Might be able to see them. So this is where we will mostly see black rhino amongst vegetation, as they do tend to browse for their food. We'll take off twigs, and a good way to see if they have fed in an area is to see what angle it's been bitten on. The twigs will often have a 45-degree angle for the black rhino. Well, they have seemed to have eluded us pretty well, but it was great to see them anyway. Let's send you back down to Charlotte to round out this awesome drive.
We have had a great drive. Oh, big 5 drive, it definitely is on. Now, if you look there, I'll have a look at her back there. Now this is something I didn't notice before, and I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention or she was just lying on that side, but you can see that there's a bit of blood there. Now I think she's actually scratched a tick. She's finally had enough, and she scratched a tick and kind of spread the blood around, because she also has it on her paw. But then I'm not sure if she's got an injury on her paw, but she's also not limping or anything like that, or at least I haven't seen her push herself up too much, but she didn't seem too uncomfortable at this point. But I'm really glad that if it is the tick, she's finally gotten one, because they deserve it. They have been fat, lying right on top of her, and it's about time she's had enough and she's gotten rid of them. So go Tlalamba. Get them all off if you can. Well, like I said, we've had a marvelous drive, and I'm so glad that we got to see this amount of animals that we do, and not to forget that we've had such great assistance from the drone today, haven't we? So remember, thank you so much for your comments on your questions. We always appreciate it, and remember to join us for the Sunset Safari this afternoon. See you later, and bye for now.